I do.
You want to be in the vlog, right?
Vlog.
All right. We're going to make it 1:30.
1:30 total.
To get this gentleman in the vlog.
All in. Oh! All in.
He's going to make the vlog, guys.
Nothing. Oh!
Has no patience, look at his face and in his eyes. He's been waiting, he's been way bound to the die. Always taking chances, all those conversations. Don't know if I'll make it, don't know why he even tries. Say, oh, I am a believer. Oh, don't know how I'll be if I'm not free to take a lead. Oh, I am a believer. Oh, ground beneath my feet, but I don't flee cause I believe.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Raising the Nuts. This is going to be part 2 of my meetup game session down at Maryland Live. Part 1 was one of my favorite videos I've ever put out, so if you haven't watched it yet, click up here to check it out. I used the YouTube Premiere feature for this one. I wanted to get your feedback on that and see if you guys liked that feature. It was very fun. There's almost like 200 people watching at the same time. A lot of chatting going on in the chat feature. So I thought it was pretty fun, but it seems like a lot of people don't like that feature on YouTube, so let me know in the comments below what you guys think. The other thing is, we just passed a year on this channel, which is kind of crazy. This channel has been amazing for me, and we've gotten a bunch of new subscribers and stuff like that. So if you guys are new to the channel, thank you for checking it out. Feel free to check out those older videos, see what we do here on Raising the Nuts. I think it's a little bit different than normal poker stuff you're used to seeing. But for now, let's get into this second session where we left off. We were crushing the session, having a lot of fun, and that continued throughout this session. So let's go. When we last left off, I was racking up my chips at the crazy table, up $900 in the session after 3 tables, over to my 4th table, and the action here was so much different that I straddled under the gun and took down the blinds. However, I was happy to look down at 7 deuce, and we were playing the 7 deuce game, so everyone here was sending me $5 a piece for that. There weren't really any notable hands at this table. There were several nice people at the table, though. That's rare footage right there of me folding to a 3-bet. I must have been very distracted by whatever was happening at the table. Fortunately for anybody who was at this table, Jay in the 1 seat, who does the graphics for the channel, spread his money pretty evenly out to everyone. So that was nice. That's rare footage there of him winning a pot also. Over to table number 5 on the session. It was at this point I decided to start playing hands in the dark for some reason, not sure why. But it seemed to work out pretty well for me. In this hand I had opened from the button, got a couple callers, I had bet dark on the flop, got a couple of callers, and we pick up the action here on the turn when my buddy Tom from the small blind has led into me for $45, and I decide to take a peek down at my hand. I'm gonna look now.
It's a two-way street, right? You haven't even looked.
No, I haven't looked. The board is Queen 6 3 8, and I look down at 7-5 offsuit, which is really nice to find something that you can actually sweat when you've bet your hand dark in 2 previous streets. So we got the open-ended straight draw. We're gonna call and try to hit a good river. How much is it? 45?
Yeah, 45.
Okay, I found something good.
Of course you did.
I found something good. Boom. That's an offsuit 4. That's the nuts. Poor Tom here in the small blind doesn't know what hit him.
80.
All in. Told you I found something good. And I'm filming, so you know it's got to be something good.
It sucks. Oh, man.
He goes into the tank for quite a while. We do a little bit of table talking. Well, you know that you're going to get to see it either way.
Yeah, I know.
I have to remind myself because I don't take very good notes. I'm a very bad vlogger. I take no notes. I just look at the videos afterwards and try to figure it out from there. But I raised this hand in the dark. I bet the flop in the dark. And then I looked on the turn. I mean, I think you should probably fold.
Well, yeah, of course you do.
You're going to get a drink from me at the bar either way if you want.
I fold.
Good fold, good fold, good fold, good fold. Tom shows 8-6 of diamonds here for 2 pair. Makes a really good discipline laydown. I think the drink sold him.
Yeah, all right.
Gotta start filming again now. This is actually the very next hand, and we pick up the action here on the river. That's going to be a pretty common occurrence in my meetup game videos, unfortunately, because I play so many hands that it's very difficult for me to start filming early in the hand. and then have to go through all the footage of every single hand. So I tend to just start filming as something happens later on the hand. In this hand, I played my hand dark once again. This time, though, I checked the flop and turn, and my opponent bet $35 on the river, at which point I looked down at one card. I peel up the 4 of hearts, which gives me a good sweat now because I have a potential flush draw. And wouldn't you know it, I peel up the jack of hearts as the second card, so I make a flush here. It's the second nut flush. I'm going to go for some value here, so I put out the raise to $155. And then, of course, we got to add the speech play. I'll show you one. You want?
Right now?
Right now. Oh, hey, hold on, you can't pick it. That's the nut card. I'm just playing every hand dark and making really strong hands. He thinks it over for a really, really long time, but eventually decides. That's so absurd. I continue to luck box every hand, making trips here and stacking a short stack. What can I say? The first ever meetup game run good is real.
Gary. Right?
Yep. You take a look.
And it's a lot of action in there.
Premiums here. Yeah. In our next hand, I actually have a good hand and looked at it pre-flop. I have ace queen of diamonds, make it $20 and pick up 2 callers. Flop comes down pretty good. Queen 8-7 with 2 spades. Definitely going to put out a bet here, so I put out a $40 bet. My opponent in middle position instantly announces raise. The player next to act folds, and when it gets back to me, I don't think there's anything to do other than call. We want to keep his bluffs in, and if I'm behind, I'm going to get stacked no matter what, so it doesn't really matter there. So I go ahead and make the call. All right. You're a nice guy. The turn card's an offsuit 7. Great card for us. Drastically reduces the number of combinations of hands that he has that beats us, like 8-7 and pocket 7s, the ones we'd be worried most about. I check it over to him, and he decides. All right. Good luck. Good luck to you, too. Got anything good?
I do. Well, I did.
He shows Jack 10 offsuit for the bluff. He actually rivers a pair, which is no good. At this point, it's starting to feel like the game is rigged for me in some way. I'm not sure, just winning every single hand, and I'm up a lot of money. Head on over to the 5th table of the night, sit down, and decide let's play some more hands blind, see if the run good continues. In this one, we get to the river. I haven't looked at my hand yet on a queen high board. Of course, I peel up a queen and I have top pair and obviously make the call of the $25 bet. My unlucky opponent had ace 10, was making a very standard value bet against a dark hand. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that I haven't lost a hand yet. All right, there's another blind hand to start.
Have you considered just not looking ever?
Yes. All right, I looked at one now.
5 plus.
Figured I'd switch things up a little bit here and just look at one this time. Peel the 4 of spades, and flop comes down queen 10-4 in a 5-way pot. So I go ahead and put out a $30 bet with what I know is at least bottom pair. 3 of my opponents pretty quickly fold. Someone's going to get through. Uh-oh. Small blind, however, decides to make the call. The turn card's an offsuit 3, and I decide to look at my other card, and it's the queen of clubs. So I got 2 pair, obviously. This is ridiculous. Now I gotta put out a real bet, so I make it $80, and my opponent pretty quickly folds. Look at this. I looked at this one.
You looked at one.
That was the one I looked at when I bet 30, and then that was the other one.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. That's pretty safe.
Thank you.
In this next hand, I had just got my food delivered to the table, and I decided I was going to play tight. But unfortunately, I looked down at 3 deuce suited and had to put some money in the pot. Raise pre-flop, bet the flop here on this board. And now the turn comes an ace. I do have a pair still, which blocks a lot of the really strong hands you can have, so I'm going to keep betting, try to fold out some 9x hands, maybe some queen x hands. So I put out an $80 bet, which my opponent pretty quickly calls. The river card gives me 2 pair, so now I'm going to be betting for value. And when my opponent checks, I put out a healthy bet of $205, just looking to get value from maybe some ace-high hands that floated on the flop, or maybe some queen x hands that just don't believe me. I implore him to fold quickly so that I can eat my fold. Fold quick so I can eat. He thinks for about 3 or 4 seconds, eventually does decide on a call, which seems good for me. Unfortunately, he actually has one of the hands that does beat me. He has ace-9, and my steak dinner just became a little bit more expensive.
Wow.
I just realized I'm pretty confused how this hand actually got included in this vlog. I thought I was only going to win hands in it. Anyway, since I lost a hand at this table, it's time to leave this table and move over to a new one. And at this new table, I meet a guy named Herman. He's awesome, and he wants to make the vlog.
I do.
You want to be in the vlog, right? All right. He wants to be in the vlog. We are going to make it. I'm in the straddle here. Herman's open to $27 and gotten a couple of calls, and it's on me with pocket aces. We're going to make it 130
130 total.
to get this gentleman in the vlog. Premiums only, though.
All in. Oh.
All in.
He's going to make the vlog, guys. Mark gives it a little thought here, but eventually lays his hand down, and now the action's on the nice lady here in the small blind. He wants to make the vlog.
Table 28, third and final call for PM.
Does she want to make the vlog? That's the question. That's the question. Does she want to make the vlog?
K8, Lee M, Jeff
gonna cost some people some money.
Brand new
Trevor.
Table 28 players, please lock
Call!
Oh, wow. All right, action's complete. Heads up, all in.
I thought you were going to make the vlog! Herman, the eternal optimist here, states that he has a live card with the King of Hearts. He has ace King of Hearts. You got live cards. All right, give them to him.
How did that happen?
That's a Queen Jack 10 flop. Herman's flopped the nuts. Not looking good for me. Oh my God, give him the nuts! The turn is the case ace, which now gives me outs to a full house. Just need to pair the board to reclaim victory.
Nothing. Oh, nothing. Oh!
The river is paint, but it's the King of Diamonds, making a straight on the board, giving us a chop pot. Chop, 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 chop!
Chop.
You made the vlog!
That's crazy. That's crazy. You flopped the nuts. He turned set. Catches up.
My man wanted to be in the vlog, and he made the vlog.
Oh my God.
That is awesome.
Wow. All of that. For a whole $23. You should be jumping for joy. Yeah, but I got a lot of cards.
You got live cards.
Not after that flop.
That was a good flop.
Excited after the flop.
That was an absurd run out. Now I lost a pot, I tied a pot. Time to get back into the winning hands here. We do a bomb pot here. I think we put in $10 each, 8 ways, and I have King 8 offsuit. The flop comes King 6-2 with 2 diamonds. I lead out for $50 and get a bunch of non-believers as 4 people call to see the turn card. Everybody got a little something, something? Wow. Wow. A lot of action. The turn card is an offsuit queen, and despite all this flop action, it doesn't seem like anyone's too interested, so I go ahead and put out a bet of $175. I guess for value, I don't know what I'm doing. Just building a pot with a weak hand when my opponents can have any 2 cards. Chris on my left makes the call after thinking for quite a bit. Mark on the button makes the fold, a little bit of a pain fold there. The small blind calls all in for $25, and then the big blind makes a pretty quick fold. So we're taking the river heads up with 1 player all in. River card is an offsuit jack. Shouldn't change too much. There is some money in the side pot, but I don't think there's any point in betting for value here. It's hard to get called by a worse hand. And so I guess I'm just going to check to decide what I'm going to do, hopefully induce a bluff. Fortunately, Chris checks back. I declare a king with an 8, and I beat his king with a 5. The other player mucks for the rest of the pot, so I scoop this pretty big pot with not very good hand in a bomb pot. Feel pretty fortunate to take that one down. Happy to scoop that one.
Jack 6.
Good hand.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't call it with just a 6.
Yeah. Oh, you guys smelled it. All those low cards out there. Now let me recheck here what I got. In this next one, the heater continues. I call a raise from the big blind with pocket 4s. We take the flop 4 ways, believe it or not. If you guys watch part 1 of this, you know that that's the recipe for flopping a set. And the flop comes 9-5-4, so I flop bottom set. Unfortunately, the flop checks around, and the turn is the ace of diamonds, bringing in the flush draw from the flop. I decide to lead for $50. The pre-flop raiser makes the call, and the other 2 players fold. River card's an offsuit 10. Seems like a pretty good card for me. Was that a diamond?
Okay, all right.
Wasn't
It ain't
a diamond.
happened yet, right?
I'm gonna bet
I'm gonna take you for a ride in the
75
Range Rover,
bucks.
Trevor.
3 fours. Mine. I got low cards too.
No, we don't make one this time.
As if I need to further test how good my run good is, I limp into the pot with 7-5 offsuit, not a winning play. The button makes it $30. Everyone calls, so I'm obviously not going to fold. Still not a winning play. We end up taking the flop 5 ways because no respect for money here. Flop comes 8-7 deuce, which is not too bad for 7-5 offsuit. My kind of flop. Check.
Check.
Sherman, 16.
Action checks over to the button who bets $80, and when it folds back to me, I have no choice but to call. I have a pair, some backdoor straight draws, and it's only $80. Plus, I can't lose a hand. Chris makes the call behind us, and we're going to take this turn 3 ways. The turn card's a 6, so I pick up an open-ended straight draw. I continue to check, Chris checks, and the button pretty quickly checks behind. The river card is a 5 because of course it is, gives me 2 pair. It does bring a 4-liner to a straight, so I just decide to check. Chris checks, and the button checks as well. I show my hand, and we scoop yet another pot.
I'm a true professional.
Head on over to one more table. Not too much happened at this table, so I rack my chips up, finish up the night, and get ready to head over to the bar. All right, just wrapped up the first ever meetup game. Ended up getting 7 tables, which is absolutely amazing. Had so much fun with everybody. We're gonna go to the bar now and hang out. I ended up winning $1,114, which is pretty ridiculous. Ran pretty hot, won some big hands. A lot of people showed up to the bar to hang out and have some great conversations. Thank you so much to everyone who made it out for the meetup game and who came from really far away to be there. That was awesome. Thank you so much to Maryland Live for having me out for my first ever meetup game. They are actually hosting a WPT starting September 20th through October 7th, and I will be there for the main event. So if you guys are down there, say hello, and definitely check it out. They host great tournaments. They have an amazing event center that they'll be using for this. That's all for this one, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the videos as always. I know the kids haven't been involved in the last few. I'm sure you guys missed them. We're settling into the new school year. If you guys want to hear a little bit more about our parenting and all of the other things that kind of go into our day-to-day life, we are now 6 episodes into our podcast, Jody and I, the Raising the Nuts podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Check it out there, and it comes out every Wednesday. But for now, thank you guys for watching the videos. I appreciate it. If you do enjoy them, please leave a comment below. I'm sure I will respond to you. Give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys soon. See you next week.
Say, oh, I am a believer.